Hello, and welcome to Film Slam Stream's post-film conversation for Bird's Nest. My name is Eric Siler, and I'm an instructor of film, media arts, and communications, as well as moderator for this conversation. We're very pleased to be joined by the director of Bird's Nest, Nadia Louis-Desmarchais. Nadia is an Afro-feminist director who aspires to give voice to those who often refuse to hear. She's won numerous awards for her filmmaking, and she puts forth very deep and very personal and sensitivity in her artistic approach to her filming. So joining us today is Nadia. Hello, Nadia, and welcome.
Hi, nice to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for bringing this work to us. Let's just get right into it. Uh, I understand we talked before with the interview that this film is personal to you. Can you elaborate on that and let our audience know how this is personal for you?
Yeah, so Bird's Nest is a film that I started writing during the pandemic. And when I was sitting there with my thoughts, as everyone was, I was just getting back into like my, childhood memories and some of the things that like I think really had an impact on me when I was a child. And I remembered how, all the sessions of like getting my hair done and my family and how those moments were like almost like a ritual. It was a painful ritual, but it was a ritual. And so I was like, I'd like to be able to do a film where I'm able to show this, how like there is a connection between those two sisters who are doing the hair, but at the same time, like it can also be a bit violent because you know that you're going in through this whole process of like denaturalizing your hair to do it, and so yourself at the same extent. So I just dived into all of this, the little Nadia when she was a kid and she really wanted to fit in and she really wanted to be seen as beautiful and as the same as her white classmates. So yeah, it's a really personal story.
And did you actually go through the same process as the young girl in which you changed your hairstyle just to conform? And if so, what was that like?
Yes, I mean, I think I straightened my hair until I was maybe like 15 years old. So it's been like really like 7 years of my life. Well, I'm 7 to 15, where I was like I always wanted to have my hair straight. And, I was going in schools where it was predominantly white. And so I just really wanted to fit in. And I didn't think that my blackness was something to be valued, or that was something that was considered beautiful. And in the process of that film, what I realized is that all of my collaborators were Black women as well, and most of them, and they all wanted to be on board with the project because when they read the script, they were like, "Oh my God, like that's literally me as well. That's my childhood as well." And what I realized is that we were a bunch of Black girls who didn't think that we were pretty, who didn't think that we were fitting in. And so we tried so hard that for a lot of them, it caused a lot of harm, even in our hair. And so, this film just is really about hair, but at the same time, it's bigger than this. It's about Blackness. It's about the desire to be accepted and to conform in order to be seen. So, yeah.
And just one more question about your childhood. You illustrated the difficulty of the young girl through a picture being drawn. Did you actually have a picture drawn of you, or if not, what type of illustration did you receive to realize that you wanted to change your hairstyle?
So that's the beauty of fiction, So the film is based of like souvenirs of my childhood and also discussions that I had with other Black girl, because it's not my first project about identity and about Black female identity. And so it's a mix of a lot of things, and that's what I like when I'm doing a creative process for a fiction film. So I start off with like some feelings, some souvenirs, some maybe scenes that I have in mind. And then I'm like, okay, so where can I take this further? And so the illustration is not something that happened to me, but it's something that I kind of felt that through my discussions with people, it would illustrate, like it would show well what it, like the violence of it as well, and it's kind of like a reaction to it, that's why she's doing it, and that's why she has the rush to do it. So in a film sometimes like you need these scenes that are like, it gives an information that is important. And so it didn't happen to me, but it happened to friends of mine, and it happened um to a lot of people, that they were like ridiculous for the hair. But my experience of like racism in elementary school was more like, it was, some people were saying stuff and they were touching in a way that like it was violent. But I thought like it would be more interesting if it was in like an implicit way, without even like, the girls are not even talking, and it's really rough to see, because you see that the drawing is hurting her, more, without the need to say anything. Or
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about you had this wonderful idea, you had this script, now it's time to execute it. Just tell us a little bit about how you pulled this off. Where did you find the actors, the location? How long did it take? I want to hear the behind the scenes extras. Tell us about that.
yeah. So, of course, I mean, it was a whole process, because it was a film. It was my first independent film that I did, like when I finished my bachelor degree in film. So I really wanted it to be like I don't know, really precise. And so what I did is that I started by hiring a producer. It was my first time working with that producer. She's a Black female, like she's amazing, really nice, and we really like did this film together, and she helped me with the locations. So since we had a really really small budget, we really had to like pull strings and use resources that we had. So what we did is like, the classroom is, it's a whole set, like it was a set design, like it was not a classroom, we didn't shoot in a classroom. So we were using locations that didn't cost a lot of money, but at the same time that would allow us to creatively like explore. And so she really helped me with the locations, and we found the apartments, doing some posts online to find some locations. And then the process of casting was really important, because since it's a film that there is almost no dialogue, like it was important that like in that the casting was really like natural, and that the actresses felt that it was their story as well, and that it was really like, and I like working with kids as well. And I often work with non-actors kids, and so it was a whole process of like digging through social medias, going, doing a lot of casting calls. And I watched a lot of self tapes. Like I received a lot of applications, so I watched self tapes, and then I did interviews, because it was in the middle of like COVID. We shot it in 2021, and so it was like ending, but it was still there. And so I casted through interviews and like Zoom calls, and eventually we started doing rehearsals. And I found like this amazing and talented little girl, Vanina Epassi, and it was the first role for her. And but she had something in her eye, and she had something really like, I don't know, kind of like an old soul, but with this sense of fragility that I loved about her. And so that was a bit of the process. And then I hired the whole team, and like every person that came on board did it like in, I mean, we had such a little budget that people just wanted to be a part of it, and without a pay, and just because like we just wanted really to make the film happen. And so we took our time, and like the editor, Miriam Charles, who's a talented filmmaker, she was the editor on the film. And she, when she read the script, she was like, oh my God, I want to do it, because I still have scars in my skull of like going through texturizer and all of this. So it was it was a process where like I think every member of the team felt drawn to the story.
I see. And how long did it take for you to shoot the film? How many days?
It was, we shot it, it was really short. Like I think we shot in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
2 days, yeah. So the prep was on Friday, and then we shot on Saturday and Sunday.
So you indicate you hired a producer. How much input did you give the producer? Did you just just let your producer handle things, especially with the set design? Tell us
Oh
about.
no, I mean, producers for me, they're really like your ally into making the film, into trying to get funding, into trying to get like, locations and stuff. But for me, like I was really like working closely with the set design, and it was a friend of mine with whom it was my first collaboration, but she had the same experience in life as me growing up. So we kind of grew up at the same time. We had the same age. We had the same references. And every time I was telling her, okay, this poster needs to be on the wall, like this exact star needs to be on the wall. And these are all the little accessories that she has in her, like in her room. Like these are the Barbies that she's using. I was so precise with all of this. Like this is the kind of television, because also the film is set in like the 2000 era. So it's kind of like it's I don't know how you say it in English, but like a film that's in the past. Um
Yes, I know what you mean.
anyway,
Not a period piece, but yes,
kind of, because it's kind of like 20 years in the
right.
past. So every detail. So like it was really something that as a director, I really worked closely with my collaborators, with my ZP, and to determine like the look and feel, and with the art director, set design, with the costumes. Like I was really picky with the costumes, so all of this was like me working with the different collaborators.
Exactly. And there was so much intentionality in this film. You put a lot of thought into the film, like you said, with the set design, the costumes, even with the on picture day with the girls at the end, you chose girls with blonde, straight hair and so forth then you chose the other, the main character to be right after those. So a lot of things you wanted the viewers to pick up on.
Mhm.
So tell us about some of the things that if someone watches this again, you want them to notice. I point out a couple of things. What are some other things you want people to notice?
Yeah, there is no, you're absolutely right. And I think it's also like, while editing, I was like, editing allows you to like connect some things so that the viewer picks them in a way that like you're not telling that viewer what to feel, but that if you did it right, like probably the viewer will feel what you want them to feel. And so the ending is like a good example of this. I wanted us to stay long with the characters before her picture, and just so that we feel like what she's probably looking at as well. So there's this whole dynamic of like what we feel, but what also she feels. And it's like sometimes it's in sync and sometimes it's not. Like the ending shot, it's like, we can discuss this more after, but this is like it's a shot that I particularly like. But another thing that some I'd like people to see, like the details, there is one shot like um after she's done her hair, like she's watching the television, and it's also what's on the television, what she's looking at, and you just see that it's everywhere. When we say representation matters, it's also like it really does matter, because like if you're growing up and like all the celebrities and all the aspirations for beauty that you see around you are like these blonde and white and thin women, and you're not that, like of course um, it has an impact on you, and that's what we feel in the film, like what she's looking at the TV, what's around her. And another thing that I wanted people to like see is a little detail, but I mean there is one shot where we see like Barbies in a car, like just in the bedroom. And so you see all the Barbies that are in the car, and they're like the white Barbies with Ken and all of this. And the only black Barbie that's in there, like you can try to see where she is. I won't say where she is, but it's details like this, even in the props and even in the set design, we wanted to tell a story, like in the details that we put there.
I see. What led you to not to have as much dialogue in this film? Because when you came with you could have easily have written it, like have the sisters talk to each other. Why do you want to straighten your hair? What's wrong? And so forth. The traditional dialogue back and forth, but you didn't have that. And
Mm-hmm.
in everyone's mind watching it, we're creating our own dialogue. Why did you choose to do that through your images instead of doing it through your writing?
Yeah. Um, I think it just allowed for more space for like emotion, I think. And I think as viewers we're like searching more. I guess we're like, I don't know, it just places us in a posture where we're like, okay, I'm just, and like there is a quote from like I don't know who director said that, but like a film in the few first shots will teach you how to understand the film and will teach you the keys how to experience it. And so I wanted the viewer to just like sit back and immerse in the story. And sometimes like when you're like having dialogues that tell you how they feel and all of this, like it doesn't give up so much, it doesn't give as much space for you to experience it. And it's also like in the process of editing, like in the bathroom, like in the script, there was more dialogue, and it was not about the fact that she was straightening her hair, but it was about the fact that it was burning, because when you're putting texturizer on you, it really burns, and they were talking about the weird smell, and they were talking about the fact that it was burning. So it was kind of like a funny moment between the two sisters who were being like yeah, close together, but like goofing around a bit in that scene. But then when we were editing, like and editing tell like it's and a third writing as well. So we were just realizing that the film would just needed to more space, and we could just take all of the dialogue out basically, and just to keep one line. Don't scratch your hair, that's the only line that's in the film.
Okay, great. I know sometimes we have students that are watching this that are filmmakers as well too. And
Yeah.
from this, great work that you've done, you don't need a huge budget or elaborate sets, a lot of creativity. Can you tell us, did you actually storyboard this, or did you have a vision in your mind of the shots that you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, I probably drew as some sketches, because I always do when I do a film, but mostly like it was like discussions with my DP, Clémentine Martin, and she just had like this eye and this sensitivity as well, and she's a really quiet person, and I feel that oftentimes like quiet people, they really analyze life and they really analyze people, and so they know how to, I don't know, the great angles for some things. And so we were discussing a lot, and I was telling her like, okay, so I really want us to feel close. So I'd like closer shots, especially of like the ritual of getting your hair done. And like, it's super close-up shots, and to feel the heat and to feel like the sound of like the drizzle of what it does. And so that was with discussions with my DP, but she came with the idea of the 235, so the ratio. And that was something that's great because I've never shot in 235 before. I'm usually like the kind of like 4:3 person that's like really like you focus on something more like portrait. And so she was like, no, I think it'd be great because it's such a simple film, and it's short. So it allows us to like give it this magnificent aspect and this like film aspect to it. And the fact that she's alone and she's kind of like isolated in this, like it'll make us focus on her more, because normally like the 235 are like westerns and like like kind of sci-fi films, and so I think the fact that we shot at 235, that was for my DP, and I'm really really happy with that choice. And I was like, yeah, let's do it, you're right.
Well, that's great. I love the buy-in, from your crew, the buy-in for the story and also your filming style as well too. And sometimes that's hard to communicate. A lot of filmmakers are used to traditional ways. Like I keep going back to the school scene. You didn't have to show an exterior of a school. You didn't have to have the school bell ring or have the teacher say,
Mhm.
pay attention. You told us we were in the school just by those creative shots, and those students who are watching this looking to be filmmakers, you don't have to really put
Mhm.
all the fluff in to still tell the story. So it's just remarkable what you did, and I appreciate you bringing this to us. We're just about out of time. Real quick, well, what's next for you? What can we expect to see from you next?
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of things are coming up. So I'm doing like fiction and documentaries. So right now there's a series that I worked on as a director that's premiering on CBC Gem and CBC Television. So it's called Black Life Untold Stories, and I directed episode 4. So it's an hour-long episode, a doc episode on Black immigration in Canada. And as well, in terms of fiction, I just finished directing my first series, so fiction series. It's a 10 episodes, kind of in the same continuity as Bird's Nest. It's based off my childhood and my upbringing in a foster family and all of this. And so it's 10 episodes that will premiere on Two Point TV. It's like a French CBC here. And so it's my first series, fiction series I wrote and directed. And so that's coming up, and it's called The Meteorites.
Wow, you have a lot going on. I wish you all the best with it and congratulations on all your successes. Nadia Louis-Desmarchais, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It was great talking with you.
And thank you to our audience for joining us for this important and invigorating conversation. For more information about our upcoming film festival, please visit us at clevelandfilm.org. I'm Eric Siler. Thank you.